All right, let's get this started. Good day, folks. My name is Chris. Today will be the second episode of our NBA playoff mini series. So let's get started. I am going to give you guys some reports on the last 2 days of games. So that'll be Monday the 20th of April and Tuesday the 21st of April. We're into into the second games of most of the series right now. So let's get started. So Toronto and Cleveland. Cleveland wins this to take a 2-0 lead in the series. They won 115 to 105. Cleveland never trailed this game, even though the final score difference was only 10 points and was fairly close. Toronto was always behind. Toronto improved on last game. They had 16 fast break points instead of their season low 3. However, Toronto did give up a total of 22 turnovers in game 2, which I think is their season high. So they did not take care of the ball, which they've been known for all year. So Donovan Mitchell, 30 points, 7 rebounds. James Harden pitched in 28 points and 5 steals. And Evan Mobley produced 25 points and 8 rebounds. Scotty Barnes had a pretty good game. He had 26 points. RJ Barrett had 22 points and 9 rebounds. And Toronto's outstanding rookie, Karl Boyles, had 17 points, 7 rebounds. Sandro Mamukelashvili had 12 points, 10 rebounds. Murray Boyles and Mamu were coming off the bench. Now, the big stories for Toronto in this game, they're not good stories, I'll tell you that much. Brandon Ingram, who's supposed to be Toronto's go-to scorer and was interviewed, and after game 1, he stated that he didn't get enough shot opportunities and that he should be getting few more chances, kind of like he was in the regular season. And he had his chances in game 2. He had 15 total shots. Mind you, he only made 3 of them. So he shot 20% from the field and he had 0 3-throw attempts. And he's a guy who's supposed to be getting to the 3-throw line a lot, driving to the basket, forcing fouls. So he had another poor game. Jakob Poeltl only played 9 minutes in game 2. He only played 20 minutes in game 1, but so Toronto's got a bit of a problem at the center position. I don't think they quite know how to counter Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and Poeltl obviously isn't the answer. With Poeltl only playing 9 minutes, and Mamukelashvili and Colin Murray Boyles both having, I think, 15 plus minutes each, it's obvious that Toronto tried to go small ball, and it seems to have had a little bit more success in terms of getting them into the kind of offense that they want to, that being the fast break and speed and motion. But 22 turnovers is a number they're going to have to cut back on. If they were closer to, 10 or 12 turnovers, which is kind of league average, they either keep this much closer, maybe a 2-3 point game, or they win this game. So Cleveland goes up 2-0. Game 3 is going to be in Toronto. The second game from this past Monday was Atlanta versus New York. Now, this is a series that I expected New York to win most of the games, but most of the games being close. Atlanta actually pulls this victory out of their hat. They win 107 to 106 off of the back of CJ McCollum. CJ puts up 32 points and 6 assists. Jonathan Kuminga chips in with 19 points. Jalen Johnson had 17 points and 8 rebounds. On the other side of the ball for New York, Jalen Brunson had 29 points, 7 assists. Karl Towns had 18 points, 8 rebounds. Josh Hart had a phenomenal game. He had 15 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. Now, this game, as the score shows, it came down to the wire in the end. New York actually had a 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter. It was 91-79. And Atlanta only took the lead with about 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They made it 101 to 100. And then in these last 2 minutes, it was kind of Atlanta kept the lead. New York tied it. Atlanta got the lead, pushed the lead a bit. New York got close. It came down to the wire. It was 107 to 106 with about 5 seconds left when CJ McCollum was intentionally fouled by New York, and he went on to miss both 3 throws, which gave New York one final chance to take the win and Mikal Bridges just missed the jump shot. So, little too close for comfort for Atlanta, but the fact that they win game 2 and tie this series up going back to Atlanta is huge momentum for them. This game was also kind of CJ McCollum and Atlanta's bench players against New York starters. CJ McCollum, Jonathan Kuminga, and Corey Kispert all combined for plus 29. While on New York's side, Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen Brunson combined for plus 16. So New York didn't get a whole lot from their bench, and Atlanta's starters overall were a little underwhelming, but Atlanta gets the 1-point victory. So props to them. Moving on, we had Minnesota against Denver. This was another series that I was expecting Denver to sort of win the first couple of games, Minnesota get back a bit, and then Denver win. But Minnesota comes out, they win game 2, they tie it up. They win 119 to 114, so 5-point victory. There were 15 lead changes this game. But something to point out is that Denver had a 19-point lead early in the second quarter. So Minnesota kind of crawled their way back, and then it was back and forth here near the end of the game. Anthony Edwards, he came to play. He had 30 points and 10 rebounds. Julius Randle, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. And Dante DiVincenzo, 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as he was plus 20 when he was on the court. So definitely a difference maker in terms of impact and when he was on the court. For Denver, Jamal Murray had 30 points, 7 assists, and 7 rebounds. Jokic had 24 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. And both Christian Braun and Tim Hardaway Jr. each had 16 points. Now, Jamal Murray struggled in the second half. Of his 30 points, he only scored 7 of them in the second half. So he had 23 points in the first half. He shot 3 of 11 from the field in the second half. So I don't know if he was tired or it was a combination of him being tired because him and Jokic are getting a hell of a lot of minutes. But Minnesota also picked up their perimeter defense. So they made life hard for Jokic and Murray. Speaking of Jokic, he did have a very good second half in terms of just sort of like points and whatnot. So he had 18 points and 10 rebounds in the second half alone. The issue is that he shot 5 of 14 from the field. So just a little bit above 35%. Now, you really need your 2 best players to be shooting a lot better than that in the latter half of the game. And that was kind of just the difference maker. Minnesota just outlasted Denver in this one. I mean, Rudy Gobert, I think he only had 2 points and he played very minimal minutes. But when he was on the court and being the primary defender on Jokic, he made life hard on him. So that series is going back to Minnesota now for game 3. And we'll see how each of the teams kind of react and respond to each other. So moving on to Tuesday, we had Philadelphia against Boston. This was a series that I expected to just be a sweep. Philadelphia has surprised me, and I think they've surprised a lot of people. Philadelphia comes out and wins this convincingly 111 to 97. This win is off of the back of a historic night from Sixers rookie VJ Edgecombe. So VJ had 30 points and 10 rebounds. Those 30 points and 10 rebounds make him one of only 2 players in NBA history, him and Magic Johnson, to have a 30-plus point, 10-plus rebound game in the playoffs before turning 21. This actually makes him the youngest player in NBA history to have such a game. 20 of his 30 points came in the first half. That makes him and Chet Holmgren the only rookies in the last 5 seasons to have 20 points in any half of a playoff game. Now, alongside him, we had Tyrese Maxey. He had 29 points, 9 assists. Paul George put up 19 points. Boston, still, their stars played well. Jaylen Brown had 36 points and 7 rebounds. Jason Tatum had 19 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists. So nearly a triple-double for him. However, unfortunately for Boston, that's kind of where the good vibes and good numbers kind of end, those were their only players to score in double figures. Boston is a team that lives and dies by the three-pointer, and it shows. They had something like 83 or 85 total field goal attempts in this game, 56 of which came from behind the three-point line. They shot 13 of 56, which is good for only 26%. So we've seen this a few times in NBA playoff history. Regular season teams that really rely on the three-pointers, they kind of come into the playoffs, and sometimes they just have those off games where they're not shooting like they usually do, and it just completely demoralizes and kind of underwhelms. So look for Boston to shoot better, but it shows that they are not unbeatable and that Philadelphia does have a chance of maybe stealing another game in spite of Joel Embiid still being out of the playoffs at the moment. Now, a game that is a little bit sad to report on because of a major injury that happened. So Portland versus San Antonio. Portland wins this 106 to 103, so it was a close game. They tie the series 1-1. The unfortunate thing is that Victor Wembanyama, the Defensive Player of the Year and MVP candidate, left in the second quarter after a pretty nasty fall where he hit his face on the court. He left with a concussion. Now, concussion protocol for the NBA, they have to basically, if a player goes out with concussion protocol, they have to spend at least 48 hours with no basketball activity, fairly inactive, just to make sure that there's nothing extra going on. And then even after that, there's a whole bunch of screening and sort of tests and whatnot for a player to get back into games. Now, the issue with that is that what will likely happen is that Wembanyama is most likely going to be out for at least 5 days. It's guaranteed 2 days, but with the extra screening that they have to do, it's probably going to be 5 days, which means that he's going to miss Game 3, Game 4, and potentially Game 5 of this series, which San Antonio is a good team. They have their players, but it's kind of a case of if Wemby's out, I don't know if San Antonio gets very far. It's going to be a bit of a miracle if they can keep themselves ahead in this series. Now, mind you, even with him leaving, they kept it very close. So we'll have to see what happens in Game 3. For Portland, Scoot Henderson, who is a guy I kind of spoke not too great about. He kind of fell under the radar. He's a younger player who hasn't really developed as much as he should have. He's making a lot of people, including myself, kind of eat our words. He puts up 31 points in this game alongside Drew Holiday, who puts up 16 points, 9 assists, and Deni Avdija, who put up 14 points. So Scoot Henderson, maybe the playoffs is just where he belongs. Maybe he's one of those players, but he has played great in these first 2 games of the series, and with 31 points, he helps his Trailblazers team tie the series up. For San Antonio, in Wembanyama's absence, Stefan Castle, he had 18 points, 7 rebounds. De'Aaron Fox also put up 17 points. Devin Vassell had 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 steals. Now, I'm just going to circle back around a little bit. Scoot Henderson, it was not only just 31 points, which is a great number, but it was a very efficient 31 points. He shot 11 of 17 from the field, which is good for 65%, and he shot 5 of 9 from 3, which is good for 56%. So look for him to continue to be a difference maker in this series, and look for him and Deni Avdija to be the kind of driving force to any potential Portland Trailblazers first round victory here. San Antonio is going to look to hold out in the absence of Victor Wembanyama. They have guys like Castle, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Fox, who are all great players, and it's still a very good Spurs team, but this series just got a lot closer. And the final game that we had this past Tuesday was Houston against the LA Lakers. Now, Kevin Durant returned for this game. He missed game 1 due to an injury that he sustained in a Rockets practice. The Lakers still win this regardless. They win it 101 to 94 and go up 2-0 in the series. Houston's offense was really bad in game one. And I had expected and predicted that was simply because Kevin Durant wasn't playing. But apparently, it's still bad even with Durant playing and with how the Lakers have really been able to shut down the Rockets. Houston shot 40% from the field to go along with only 7 made three-pointers and 24% from three. They did not produce at all. LeBron James, the 41-year-old miracle that he is, had 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. Marcus Smart, who is a guy I didn't account for being a high production guy here in the playoffs, had 25 points, 7 assists, and 5 steals. Luke Kennard, who has really stepped up in a key role in the absence of Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, put up 23 points and 6 rebounds. Kevin Durant, in his return, he had 23 points, which was great if you look past the fact that he had 9 turnovers. Kevin Durant alone had 9 turnovers, which is almost as much as entire teams have on a regular basis. He shot well from the field. He shot 7 of 12. But between the turnovers and the fact that he only took 12 shots as the Rockets' main go-to scorer, as their number one option, tells me that the Lakers really crowded his space and forced him off of the ball and forced him to get rid of the ball and to sort of become more of a passer, which, I mean, he can pass, but that's not his main go-to. And it shows with the 9 turnovers. Alperen Sengun, he had 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 steals. And Amen Thompson had 16 points and 9 assists. I had predicted that Houston would win this in 5. It's looking like the Lakers, if they keep this up and keep having performances from role guys like this in Luka's absence, the Lakers might just sweep this. The Houston Rockets do not look good right now. And I feel bad for Houston fans. I honestly do. I mean, if I was a Houston fan, I would have been really excited going into the playoffs. But they just haven't showed up. And it shows. They're down 2-0 in the series. So those were all the games that happened this past Monday and past Tuesday. We had 2 series that hadn't played their second game yet. Those 2 series are the Orlando-Detroit series and the Phoenix-Oklahoma City series. The game 2 for those series is happening Wednesday the 22nd. So that's upcoming. That's actually happening tonight. The rest of the week looks kind of as follows. This Thursday, the 23rd, New York and Atlanta are going to have game 3. That'll be played in Atlanta. Cleveland, Toronto, game 3. That'll be back in Toronto. Denver and Minnesota, game 3. That'll be in Minnesota. Then we're going to have on Friday, the 24th, Boston, Philadelphia. They're going back to Philadelphia for game 3. The Lakers and Houston, game 3. Houston is going to look to get some momentum back going back home. And then you have San Antonio and Portland. Game 3 is going to be in Portland. Most of these series are 1-1. You have New York, Atlanta, Denver, Minnesota, Boston, Philadelphia, San Antonio, Portland. Cleveland, Toronto, and Houston Lakers are the only 2 series that are 2-0 right now, and they haven't looked necessarily close so far. Like, the scores have been within reason, but it's kind of obvious that Cleveland just has Toronto's number and that the Lakers just have Houston's number. And in both cases, for both Houston and Toronto, they need to find more ways to bump up their offense. And for Toronto specifically, they need to find their defense again. They're kind of being humiliated a little bit by Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. So if Toronto wants any chance in that series, which I would like them to have, they really need to pick up their defense. The 2 series that I didn't really talk about today because they hadn't had any more games, OKC Phoenix. OKC is probably just going to still sweep that. They look dominant in game 1. Orlando Detroit. Orlando stole game 1, just as a reminder. So look for Detroit to come out swinging and win game 2 in Detroit before having to go back to Orlando. Well, that about does it for our NBA playoff recap for now. So I will see you guys in a couple of days.